Sexual assault, a big issue on campus right now, and it should be. And who would have thought a presidential campaign would put it on the front burner, but it has. Boy talk, locker room talk, or assault, as women aren't navigating enough obstacles on campus. With these issues on the surface, women have to fight for their safety as well.
Sexual violence of any kind is never the fault of the victim. The victim is never at fault.
Natalie Nolan, president of the OU Feminist, made that perfectly clear when she and her group of fearless cohorts demonstrated an on-campus event called, of all things, the Slut Walk. This flips the script on both the word slut and the stigma that society has placed around sexual assault. The organizers say it gives the victim a chance to rebuff the argument that what the victim is wearing is likely the invitation to assault, at last breaking the victim's silence that was a result of society's stigma.
It's kind of disgusting seeing this happen so often, you know, and it makes everyone look bad, and it doesn't make it feel like a safe environment around campus. It kind of destroys the sense of community. I think men need to be more willing to say something to other men. To me, standing aside and just letting something happen is as bad as doing it to somebody, to be totally honest. You know, we see girls who have been assaulted as damaged goods and stuff like that, and a lot of women are afraid to come forward if something happens because, you know, there's a stigma attached to it.
Being an active bystander, male students have a critical voice that may influence change in the way victims of sexual assault are perceived.
If you don't say anything, how is it going to get better? If you just keep on just brushing it under the rug, maybe blaming the victim here and there, how is it going to get better? I mean, it doesn't matter what a girl does, it doesn't matter what she says, it doesn't matter what she's wearing, it doesn't matter how she's acting, it doesn't matter how much alcohol it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Never is it okay to put your hands on another human being when that person doesn't want it. First response needs to be compassion. And you need to find this guy who is being accused, or girl, and there needs to be stiff penalties. If you even think for a second as an attacker, if you even think for a second about doing it, you start shaking in your boots because you are terrified of what will happen to you if you do that. I mean, how do you change someone's mentality? How do you change the way their brain works? I don't think you could, but I mean, you can definitely change the way the law works.
Resources on campus encourage students to report, but up until 2 years ago, the process of reporting assaults was too intimidating to even attempt. Officers, including Detective Collins from Oakland University's police department, were given new tools on how to conduct investigations, keeping them from becoming an interrogation.
The police department starts by believing. So know that if you want to report it. We let them drive the investigation, how they want to proceed, what information they want to share.
Newly discovered research of how trauma affects memory and organization shows why victim stories weren't lining up.
People who've been sexually assaulted have been through a major trauma, and you think differently under trauma. The new part of the brain is, you know, what we typically think with, and it's the part of the brain that says, if this, then that. If this happens, I'm going to do this. And it also deals with memory and filing and all of the things that kind of make us human. When we're in trauma, that part of the brain gets out of the way. And the older survival part of the brain says, all right, it's my time, I'm kicking in. We're in survival mode.
According to Collins, the time to report an assault is within the first 120 hours. This is critical to preserve as much evidence as possible. Any longer than this could change the entire process of the investigation.
It's very overwhelming to go through something like that. But I think, you know, do plan for if you want to prosecute later. Do take care of yourself. Don't blame yourself. Nobody asks to be sexually assaulted no matter what they're doing. I don't care if you're passed out naked on a couch. Nobody asks to be sexually assaulted. Wrong is wrong.
Collins says 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted in their lifetime, but only 10% of men are doing this. So groups like the OU Feminist are just getting their voices warmed up to encourage women to start reporting and put their trust in officials.
We're always going to recommend that they seek counseling. We're always going to treat them with dignity and respect. As a society, we blame the victim, but we set them up for it.
Although society must take part in the blame, OU Feminists represent the steps that are being taken towards ending the silence on this topic that often leaves a gaping void in the conversations that could be happening.
It makes me feel hopeful because the more people get involved, you know, the more aware I am of the fact that not everyone is ignorant and not everyone is awful, and there are good people out here who want to make a difference, and it makes me think that we really can make a difference when I see all these young women come, all these people, all these students here come together. It makes me hopeful.
We have to teach our young men as much to look for what consent looks like as we have to teach our young women to be able to fight back.
Girls and guys, whoever the victims are, need to be less afraid to say something immediately after, like next morning, or within a time frame to where you can catch this guy. And right now, victims are afraid to come out because they blame the victim all the time. Oh, what was she wearing?
And it starts with education. And it's not just our young ladies.
And there are ways to fight back, taking advantage of programs offered here. Detective Collins hosts RAD, Rape Aggression Defense Training. The point is that your voice matters, and assistance has been tailored in such a way so that no one has to live in fear. Reporting on Oakland University's campus, Caitlin Wilson, Local 4.